And that's the adaptability behind mobile hunting because you said a key thing here. And let's talk about this. How many times have you actually been in the woods, right? You're in a spot, you're like, this is a great spot. And all of a sudden you see all the deer are moving over, they might be 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 yards from where you're at, right? Technically, it's not that big of a move, but 100 yards. How many times did it take watching those deer to realize that you needed to move? One time.
One time. That's it. Just I tell myself every time when I go out into the woods, you're if okay, let's say I sit it one day and you think you're on a good spot and but you're seeing all your deer over there. Now, I'm not gonna hunt it the next day. I won't. I'll give that land a rest, a good week rest on that whole entire area because it's usually um let's say a 300-yard stretch in that area where I'll just give it a rest if I see the deer in another spot. So I'll give it a week rest and I'll come back. Well, they weren't in that spot, but they were right over there. I'm gonna go over there. And usually it pans out. It does. It usually always does. It's because there's obviously a reason why they're over there and not in that spot where you scouted before. It's because deer movement changes. You know what I mean? Throughout the seasons. So there's probably a tree over there that they like that they're eating off of, or there's a good passage what they liked over there, or there's always something.
And Lord knows it might have been in our case, we've had a few trees get blown over here in the last several years that's blocked off a couple of their trails, which has changed their movement. And, who knows? There's probably some dead tree laying across the trail they normally use, and they've like, "Oh, we're gonna use this one now." Deer are lazy. They're like us. They're lazy. They're gonna take the path of least resistance when they can. Obviously, in an emergency, they'll go whatever the most direct route is. They don't care if they got a bull through something or not. In an emergency, they'll go just like us. But generally speaking, with we don't if there's nothing that is urgent, we'll take the easiest route we can find.
Most definitely. Yes.
Yeah, and you'll see that in the mountains too. Like I've hunted out in Colorado a few times, and if you've done a lot of hiking in mountainous areas, especially like pre-made trails, you see where we do a lot of those switchbacks and stuff where, it's not the direct route up the hill, but it's, a couple of, back and forth, you'll probably what would have been a 100-yard climb is now more like a 400-yard climb. But I'm telling you what, it was so much easier than trying to go straight up the hill. And elk do the exact same thing. Like, if you go and watch their trails on a mountainside, they'll do the exact same thing. Like, they'll side hill, then they'll come back up, and they'll just work their way up and down. You'll see their trails, they because they want the path of least resistance, because the why burn more energy than you need to?
Exactly.
Especially especially in a wild environment, you're not gonna burn more energy than what you absolutely need to, because the food sources, unlike a manicured, agriculture land or a manicured property done by somebody that's got more money than sense, their food is a limited resource, so they have to be very cautious about what they do. So, but well, I agree with you. I've done the same thing where I've seen deer movement. And there's been times I've been so hard headed in my early years where like I am absolutely going to sit here and I'm not doing anything else. I'm just going to sit here and this is what I'm doing. Like this is my stand. This is what I'm doing. And then over time, after you watch some of the movement and stuff, and you realize, I don't think they're going to be coming through here. And then that one time you made the decision, especially once I got mobile. And yeah, so actually, this was even before I was mobile, and I'll tell this real quick. So we had one stand set up, and we had pictures of a buck that was coming through this area. We had early morning, daylight, almost every morning. We knew he was coming through there, right? So I went out there, hunted that opening day. That buck never came in there, but I did see him. He walked a different trail, different path, right? I'm watching that and I'm like, I probably need to move, right? That's the first time I ever in my mind I said, yeah, I probably need to move. And we end up doing a hang. We went in that next day, well, actually the same day, that evening or that lunch period, went in, hung another stand. I let it rest for 1 or 2 days because I had to go back to work. And I came back out a day or two later, hunt that morning. Sure enough, I got an opportunity at that deer, and I would not have had that if I would not have moved. So, it, guys and gals listening, like the biggest thing for you to be is adaptable. And that's where mobile hunting really has its advantages is that adaptability. Yeah, trust me. Don't get me wrong. There's some times that it's just nice to have a pre-hung sit where I can just go climb, sit, and just, it's just easy that day. Maybe I'm in the mood. It's just easy that day to do. But more often than not, I'm bringing myself with me. I'm climbing and I'm bringing and I'm bringing it back out with me when I leave. And it's just for that reason because it allows me to be where I need to be, not where I think I need to be, but where I actually need to be. And there's a big difference between those
You
two.
said